Welcome. We're here with another edition of Kennel Talk, and I'm here with Rashawn Gordon from Gordon Gun Dogs, and I'm Randy Randall from Desert Point Kennel. And we're here to talk to you about a breeding that actually Rashawn put together, and I liked the litter and the breeding so well that I just bought the whole litter from him. And he lucks out in one way because he gets the money for the breeding, and I get the puppies, and then he gets to use any of the puppies that I keep. So it's always a win-win. And when you work in a semi-partnership and you run a kennel, that's the way it should be anyway. A win-win for you, a win-win for your friends, a win-win for the people who get your puppies. I mean, honesty and integrity, and doing the best you can. So that's your dog Sandy. And this is your dog's puppy's pedigree, and then someplace in I have Rugers too. But can you tell us how you got Sandy and what was the reasoning behind getting her? And
well, my wife Melissa finally wanted to have her own bird dog to train on her own. And so at that time I had a couple of dogs that were field trial bred. And I realized that those dogs can be good, but for a beginner, I never recommend a dog like that. So I looked for a good versatile line that I knew would be very good and easy to train. So I settled on the Friedelsheim line. And I ended up getting Sandy from a guy named Barry Bollinger out of Maryland.
How did you hear about the Friedelsheim's line? I had never even heard about it.
I belong to a lot of groups on Facebook.
Yeah, you do.
And I saw them in those groups, and Barry has a dog named Mason who's just an absolutely phenomenal dog, and he was just taking the dog world by storm.
But Barry doesn't have a website, so people can't really go.
No, you got to contact Barry through Friedelsheim Kennels.
Okay.
Would be the best way.
And Friedelsheim Kennels is who?
Donnie Eversole.
Okay. And where's his kennel?
I believe it's in Maryland too.
Okay. And it looks like from just studying the pedigree, from what I can see, studying the pedigree, but you know even more the inside information, that these guys are doing a pretty good job.
I'll tell you, when I talked to Barry, he had 6 puppies. And knowing what I know now, I wish when I talked to him I bought that whole litter.
Yeah, like I did?
Sandy went above and beyond the expectations that I was expecting from her. She's been a great dog.
Getting back, before we get into the dog particularly, both of the people from Friedelsheim Kennels and Bobby, Donnie and Bobby, both Barry and Bobby.
No, Barry and Donnie.
Barry and Donnie. Oh my Lord. They both hunt.
Yes, they do. They both hunt wild birds.
Okay.
Donnie is pretty active in NAVDA.
Okay.
And Barry was. I don't know if he's so much into NAVDA as much as he's into field trials now. But they are wild bird hunters, and they hunt North Dakota. I know Barry was in Oklahoma, and they do waterfowl as well as upland.
Oh, right. Which is very important. So I see by the, when we go over the puppies' pedigrees, I see both from Ruger and Sandy, both the sire and the dam, a lot of VCs, KSs, dual champions. Just by the pedigree, the dogs, at least in NAVDA, definitely ought to be good performers. So tell us, before we come back to Sandy, tell us how you got Ruger and where his lines are.
Okay, I have a friend named Travis Bradford and his lovely wife Shannon. They decided that bird hunting wasn't going to be a big part of their life anymore. They got into running marathons and other things. So they got a hold of me because I knew I was starting out a kennel and asked if I'd be interested in taking their dog Ruger. And I said yes, and they dropped him off, and Ruger is a great hunting dog. He's just an all-around unbelievable dog. Great temperament, great hunt, good point, awesome retrieve, loves the water, great family dog. I mean, I got nothing bad to say about him.
Now Ruger actually started from here through another kennel, and I'm not real happy with the other kennel personally, so we're not going to mention their name in here. But and you can see it when you look at the pedigrees if you do. Anyway, the guy that bred Ruger went to him and a partner went to great lengths to look for great dogs, and they have some really good dogs. And that's ended up where that line had came from. And Ruger's a really dark liver roan dog. I love Ruger. I love the way he looks. I love the way he performs. His loving attitude. You know, he's just has a lot of good traits. He loves the water, but he loves people. He retrieves. He's a nice dog. Sandy, now she's a whiter dog. Remember, there's 4 types of white dogs. Okay, there's field trial white, which has a lot of pointer in it, and there's American field that doesn't have as much. I mean, American versatility, which doesn't have as much. There's show white, and then there's German or European white. And this dog, Sandy, we should show a picture of her. I'll probably put one in here in the video. I'll paste one in, and some videos maybe. She's got longer hair, like many of the versatile dogs do.
Or the German dogs.
And she's big and buff and tough and looks like $1 million. And we figured it would be, well, Sean figured it would be a good breeding, these two together. And if you go over Sandy's pedigree, you can see, I'll grab my glasses here. On the website, there's also how to read a pedigree. And a lot of the stuff doesn't mean anything if you don't understand, you know, like Rashawn does. You know, he understands these titles. He understands these kennel names. He understands, you know, a lot of that stuff. So why don't you, since she's your dog, why don't you tell me, after looking at this, what makes that pedigree and thus makes the dog so good?
Well, for me, what makes it good is looking for the all-round perfect hunting companion. When you see these versatile champions, that means that dog can do everything that I want it to do in the field. It's great on tracking, upland, waterfowl, retrieving and land in water. And to get the versatile champion title, it also means the dog's going to have good trainability. It's
a lot of drive.
A lot of drive. And that's what I look for as far as a field dog. But if you look at her mother's also a field champion, amateur field champion. Which, even though she's bred to be a versatile dog, she was also capable of going into that venue and obviously succeeding.
But you know her personally, that she's a good water dog and a good hunting dog.
Yes, she's also a natural ability, and I believe she's got utility work, and she is the full sister litter mate to Mason.
Oh, yeah. And tell us a little more about Mason real quick.
Mason is...
He's a VC as well.
He is a VC. He was the youngest dog to attain a VC at 15 months, as well as a master hunter.
Right.
I mean, he is a phenomenal dog. He's pretty much guaranteed a place in the Hall of Fame.
So Sandy's mom is a full brother.
Full sister.
I mean, full sister. Sandy's mom's a full sister to her brother, obviously. Okay. So, what else?
But that's what I look for, and that kind of tells you what you're going to get out of her. And then when you go further back, I mean, you'll find more VCs, more VCs, more VCs, more VCs.
Right. Yeah, we get
she's programmed. It's just programmed into her.
Yeah, and that would be only if we were looking at just the pedigree, if we didn't know the dogs. Since we know the dogs on the top and we know the dogs on the bottom, and we have the dog personally, Sandy, then we know that. And then So this is Sandy's by herself. So when you look at Sandy's, and we'll go over the whole pedigree, both mom and dad put together to make the puppy. But when you go down to the fifth, and I did coefficient of inbreeding, I did the ancestors tables, they're all in this paperwork that we have here. But you can see in the fifth generation, I like looking at a pedigree from the fifth generation forward to the dog, because you can see all the dogs that are behind them, and you can see what moved forward. You got Hillhaven Hustler, which is like most people think is probably the best American dog you could get behind your dogs. You have Westwind stuff, which goes back to Hustler. You have Hillhaven Hustler again. Then you have two KSs. The German champion title is a KS, and that's their highest title. So that, in order to get that, you have to do everything. You have to be great in the water. You have to be good in. You have to win in the show. You have to have killed a cat or a fox. You have to be great in tracking. So to get a KS title is even harder than getting a VC. You got the Stradivarius Maximilian. Those are also Hillhaven lines. You have Hillhaven Hustler again. You come down, you got Hillhaven Hustler again. You got a Potsiefen dog. The Potsiefen dog's a German line of dogs that Riverwoods had brought in, and all the Potsiefen dogs go back to the Potmas dogs, which is the oldest kennel in Germany. And that's where almost all the black dogs come from. You have Hillhaven Hustler again, and then you have another Westwind dog, and you come down and you got another Hillhaven Hustler. You got Hillhaven Hustler himself again. Then you got two more KSs, and it's like, wow. Then you got another Stradivarius dog, and then you got an Estran dog, and then you come down below. You got a sharpshooter dog. A VC, and you got Orson von Potsiefen himself, that Riverwood's dog that Riverwood brought in, a great kennel. And it's like, so if you look at the fifth generation on the pedigree, you can see that the dogs moving forward, if everybody continues to do their job, it's a great dog. I mean, how you not going to get there? In the fourth, you have the same type of stuff. You have Potsiefens again. You have the Westwind stuff. You have a Hustler stuff that came forward. You got a dual champion in Kutzar's Ruger V Haven. Anytime you see a name like V Haven, you see a Haven, you know that it's probably comes back to Hillhaven Kennel, and probably comes back to Hustler, which in this case it does. Some more Westwind stuff, some more Hustler stuff. The Potsiefen dog again. You got another sharpshooter VC. You got another sharpshooter VC. So then you move into just the grandparents, which is her grandparents, and you have the Westwind dog again, a VC. You got another Westwind dog, same dog on the bottom, another VC, sharpshooter dog, Man in Black. Okay, tell us about this dog, this VC sharpshooter's Man in Black.
Oh, he was a phenomenal dog. He's another dog that I believe is going to be in the Hall of Fame. He was a versatile champion and a master hunter, I believe. And unfortunately, he died a little too soon. Yeah. But he is just a great dog, and he's contributed a lot to the gene pool.
A dog that has a black dog.
Yes.
That's Man in Black. Coming through the sharpshooter line to the Potsiefen line to the Potmas line. That's where the dark color comes from. And a lot of sharpshooter and shooting star stuff comes through Hillhaven again. But a dog that had a tremendous amount of drive and has had a huge influence on NAVHDA. A lot of NAVHDA dogs come from this dog, and this is a dog that would from listening to what the owner has to say, would retrieve bumpers, balls, whatever you wanted to throw, as much as you wanted to throw it. And he threw puppies that wanted to do the same thing. And it's that kind of drive that works well for training top level dogs, VCs, field trial dogs, shoot to retrieve dogs, master hunter dogs, any dogs that has to have that drive basically to take a licking and keep on ticking. That's the kind of dog that is there. And then so you see, just as her grandparents of her, 3 out of the 4 dogs are are versatile champions. And then both Sandy's parents, one's a versatile champion and the other's a field trial champion, but they're good hunting dogs. They're good water dogs. And so when it came down to Sandy, there's no guarantee that she's going to be a great dog, but it's about as close as you can get by looking at a pedigree that the dog is going to be great. So you pick out the puppy and work with the puppy, and it becomes a dog and it becomes great, and it's got the great lineage behind it. Then you have a great dog that you can put into your breeding program. And you can see when we post it, so I'll be on my you can see the puppies, and you can see on our website, Desert Point Kennels with an S.com, under puppies, that you could see all of this information, these pedigrees, this information I'm putting, this ancestor tables. It'll all be there. And then Ruger, which is Covey Buster's Ruger, and Covey Buster's is the name Rashawn uses for his dogs in Gordon Gun Dogs. How did you come up with the Covey Busters?
We were making a joke off the Ghostbuster song, and we just started saying Covey Busters.
Got it. Because when you're hunting quail, people don't realize, a lot of people that hunt quail probably don't realize that a lot of times it's a very good idea to bust up that covey.
Exactly.
And it doesn't mean your dog's bad because he's got such a bad nose, he's just busting coveys and he's not getting the birds. It means that if you leave the covey intact, the covey will have a tendency to run in front of you. You'll never catch up with him. But if you can bust that covey up, the covey is scattered. Now they're calling to each other, and they're holding, and your dog can work the individual. So you bust a covey to hunt the singles. And so it's pretty good, even if it's an offshoot of Ghostbusters. Covey Buster still works out pretty good. So this is Ruger's. And Ruger's, it comes down from basically a couple of three lines. Ruger's dad is a VC, and it came out of the Grouse Point Kennel. And Grouse Point Kennel, like the Friedelsheim Kennel, is another one of those just really, really good kennels. And I have absolutely nothing bad to say about it. Come from a hunting background. These are guys that know their dogs, know how to train VCs. And Grouse Points is be an excellent place to get dogs from. And also a good kennel to the owner. If you were thinking about, you wanted a VC, I wanted to know if your dog was good enough for a VC. You could send him your dog, and for a certain amount of money, he will evaluate the dog and tell you. The dog just doesn't quite have it for what it takes, because it's going to need that extra drive to be a VC. But, it's a great hunting dog, but it's just probably not going to make it in being a VC. So, does being a VC necessarily mean that your dog is going to produce good hunting dogs? No. You still have to put the hunting behind it. If your dog is a VC and it's also a great hunting dog, there's a much better chance of your dog producing great hunting dogs. So you have Ruger's dad as a VC, and then he comes down again from the sharpshooter line. Shooting Stars, sharpshooter, which is behind that, Shooting Stars, another Hillhaven Hustler line. So, if you look all the way to the back, like we like to do, the fifth generation, on Ruger's side, you can see, he has Estran dogs, which is a lot of Hillhaven Hustler. A lot of these dogs go back to Axel Waschling, which is the #1 German used dog. And you have VC sharpshooter, Son of a Gun. You got the mom is Shooting Stars Hailstorm. You got another Shooting Star dog, and you got a Sundance dog, and then you have Hillhaven Hustler himself again, and you got another Shooting Star dog. And then you could see, on Ruger's dad's side, you have this great pedigree coming down, and on the mom's side, you have the Nomar stuff, the old Nomar stuff. I think it was which Nomar's which No Morris dog, but one of the, the guy that does so much in NABDA, he paid a lot of money for a No Morris dog after seeing it compete in NABDA because the dog was that good. And so you have the No Morris line on the mom's top, and you got the Hawkeye. I see a Hawkeye dog here. That's a great line. I have that in Jack's stuff, and you have the KS behind, in the back there as well, and the No More stuff goes all the way to the end. So it's like an excellent, the Whittaken line, the German line. This Whittaken kennel in Germany, the KS is Ivan von Whittaken. That kennel bred for natural ability, and they wanted a lot of natural ability in their dogs. And natural ability is kind of the one thing that Rashawn and I really work hard to do, is have the natural ability. Just because a dog will retrieve doesn't mean it's a great retrieving dog in a breeding program, because it has to produce puppies that have a great natural retrieve. So you want a great natural retrieve. You want the love of water work. You want the point to back. You want the dog to be friendly. You want the dog to be able to track, but you want it to be all naturally, inbred in the dog, so it can come out. So all the way in the fifth, you got the evolutions dogs. You have a lot of really, really, really good dogs in Rugers, and you put the two together, and it's like, theoretically, there ought to be at least one good pup out of that litter, right?
You would think.
They look good right now. I mean, the litter is 3 weeks old. Mom has a lot of milk. Rashawn still has the litter in his house, and they're taking great care of them, and they look great. But here's an overview. I'll just read it to you. It's an overview I put together after studying all the stuff. Sandy is heavy in Hillhaven Hustler. She has Hillhaven Hustler 6 times in the first 5 generations. That's a lot of Hustler. So many dogs, great dogs, in both Ruger and Sandy's go back to Hustler, and so many great dogs, American great dogs, go back to Hustler. And it's a foundation dog for a lot of kennels. In the pedigree, there's two field champions, 9 German KSs, 14 show champions, 8 American dual champions, 6 master hunters, and 18 NABDA versatile champions. So in this pedigree for this puppy, that's insane. I mean, that's like a who's who. And there's not a lot in the whole background. If we go back on the ancestor table, there's not a lot of big running English pointer type of field trial dogs. The kennels behind this litter right here of Ruger and Sandy, some of the kennels names are Friedelsheim, which he talked about, of Donnie's kennel, Sundance Kennel, which basically is a Hustler line. They breed for Hustler stuff. Westwind, it has the same kind of stuff. Sharpshooter, Shooting Star, the Potsiefen German stuff, which is basically the Potmas stuff, the Stradivarius stuff, of course the Hillhaven kennel itself, Heggie House, which is the #1 kennel, or had been the #1 kennel in Germany for years and years. The breeder and owner of Heggie House Kennel in Germany hunted until he was 92 years old. So the Deadwood Kennel, the Grouse Point Kennel, the No Morris Kennel, the Hawkeye Kennel, Dan Carr was the breeder of Rob, Sandhill Kennel, the Whitkin Kennel. It's like, this is crazy. When it doesn't have a real high inbreeding coefficient, which is okay. This is a kind of a different template format that you can do on the pedigree program. All of these dogs, and there's thousands of them that are in this, come out in this pedigree, are dogs over the years that I put in one by one, that go back to our lines, one way or another. So when I did Ruger and Sandy's, I didn't have to go back and do every single one of the 1,000 dogs in there that was already in the pedigree program. And once they linked together, the computer program, did the best. And here's, like we talked about going back 5 generations, this is a family tree on the litter, which goes back 7, one of them goes back 8. So we talk about Weibold, Ebold. Tell us about Ebold.
Ebold is the only German Shorthair Pointer in history to be a German KS and an American dual champion. Yeah. I've seen Ebold myself. When I saw him, he was 14 years old, and he had just produced his last litter.
Wow.
Natural.
Wow.
Yeah. He was a beautiful dog. He was a pretty big boy, too.
Yeah, come out of which kennel?
Von Heinholz Kennel, Daisy Schaefer, out of Roseman, California.
That's where Rashawn got his first German Shorthair from. So he still has those lines. He's worked hard to find them. For his breeding program. That's for another story. But he's very familiar with the dogs behind there. So this goes all the way back to the 7th. So Hillhaven Hustlers again is like super heavy. And No More stuff is still back there. A lot of great dogs, a lot of German dogs. When you get back, I didn't take the time to count how many times Hillhaven the Hustler shows up in 7, how many German DKs are in there, how many, VCs, but there's a lot. But this is a whole generation report. This covers, I don't even think I printed out how many times each dog has appeared, how many times in there, but this is like all the dogs. This is a pedigree that goes back to 20 generations. And there'd be a lot more dogs in 20 generations if I had inputted every single dog. These are just the dogs I've inputted in there. So if we jump, actually this goes back 16 generations. So you can see the dogs that made up the dogs that ended up here. Anyway, here's some pictures. This is what Sandy looks like, and you can see, I think the next picture is one of Rashawn's favorite pictures.
Oh, yes.
But you can see the extra hair, how much longer that it really is. You can see the build of the dog. I mean, that's a powerful dog. That's the way a German Shorthair really is supposed to look. Big and powerful. That could do the job. That can, if it came across a pig or something, it could handle itself. You could kill a fox or a cat. It could hold its own. And just, great tail set, great withers up here. Look at the neck.
Top line. Good rear.
Look how powerful this dog is. We had a charge just to show you a picture of that. And and here's Ruger going into the water. Ruger's a little heavier in this picture. I don't really think the picture does the dog justice. In this one, I like to show the other picture better. But it's a strong top. It's a strong wither, strong neck, big head. The tail comes off at the right place. The withers are high, and it doesn't show the definition in the chest here from a side view because it doesn't show, real thin in the back area, in this area here, like this dog does, because this dog is smaller in here because she's not holding the extra weight. You can see how powerful her chest is in the picture. That's not really the case in Ruger's picture, but he's good in the water. He does the things he's supposed to do.
Ruger's a phenomenal hunting dog, and he's a great family dog. I'm very blessed to have him, and Shannon and Travis, I can never thank you guys enough for him.
Yeah, he's gonna be. We've bred to him. He's gonna have an influence on both of the kennels. And sometimes nowadays, it's not as easy as people think to run these kind of dogs down. To run a dog down like Sandy, to run a dog down like Scout, like Ruger, Jack, some of the other lines. There's so much field trial stuff out there, and there's so many dogs that are so heavily influenced by field trial stuff that nobody the breeders haven't spent the time to see if the dog likes the water, has a natural retrieve, how good a family dog that it is. So this is kind of like stepping back into time a little bit.
It is, and that's one of the things I enjoy about doing this and working with these lines. It's kind of like I almost feel like I'm the keeper of the old lines. I know that may sound crazy,
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And grab that second book, the orange one.
This one?
Yeah. In Maxwell's book, it's funny, I can't find out what page it's on right now, but she says in the book, she starts talking about how the breed has changed more toward the pointers. But she says just underneath the dog's genetics lies the versatile breed, if a breeder is willing to take the time and try to work with that to bring it back out. And that's exactly what Rashawn just said, is like, we are the keepers. Rashawn and I have been given, we haven't made, our breeding programs consist of dogs other people have bred. And our dogs, of course, that we have bred too, but the dogs that have been handed down to us, I don't think we could really hope to do any better with. Just if we could maintain it. If we could just get to not only maintain it, but to at least identify what it is that makes a German Shorthair a great dog and focus our breeding on that. You know, it's like Rashawn knows. I mean, what are we looking for?
Good work and good water work.
Good water work.
Versatility.
Good versatility dog. Good water work.
Good family dog.
Great family dog.
Natural point. Natural retrieve.
Yep.
Natural back.
Yep.
We're looking for the dogs that we produce.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's why, because we're an Americans. Rashawn and I are Americans. And to tell you the truth, if you're an American, you can do it. You know, there's no limits in America what you can do. This is the land of the free. We can go out literally and hunt and go to the water every day. And a lot of times we do.
Yeah.
And it's like, so we can hunt. We have the money. We have the access to the dogs. We know the breed well enough to know whose lines are what. We have the ability to bring in the German dogs if need be. The great versatile dogs like these dogs here if need be. But we also have the knowledge to know which dogs not to bring in. And that's just as important, because people think that they're doing a great job with the breed because they're breeding a specific type of dog, and they'll go on and on and on and on and tell you why their dogs are the best and why other people's aren't. But that's not the gauge that we're looking for. The gauge that we're looking for is exactly what Rashawn said. Great versatility. We want a great family dog. We want a dog that can track. We want a dog that has a great nose, is smart enough to hunt, that's good enough to get along with the other dogs in the kennel, that can go out and find something and point it and hold the point and work with us and go in the water and bring the birds back from the water, to put something up a tree if need be. You know, a dog that's built big enough and strong enough to do the job that it's to do. So we're the keepers.